What's up guys? In today's vlog, we're gonna show you how you can 3-stage paint correct your own vehicle and then install some sort of coating, whether that's a ceramic coating, a graphene coating, whatever. The coating installation is pretty much the same, but a lot of people are unaware how easy this is to do. You don't need a ton of expensive equipment or expensive products, anything like that. If you don't have access to a detail shop to install it for you, or you don't have the money to do it, it's super easy to do by yourself. I'll show you all the tools you need and all the steps that have to be done to make sure that it comes out perfect. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the tools. Now, there's a ton of different polishers out in the market. Some of them are super expensive, $400+, but then there's also $75 ones that you can get on Amazon or at a hardware store, something like that. You don't need to have the super expensive ones. Yes, they're really nice. If you're a professional and you're detailing all day, every day, you're gonna wanna have the really nice expensive ones. But if you're just doing it to your own car, you're doing it one time, maybe you're doing it to your wife's car or your parents' cars or something. If you're only doing it a handful of times, you can absolutely do this with one of the cheap polishers, and that's what we're gonna use today. I don't even know what the brand is. It's probably from China or something, but we're gonna use that and show you that you can get these same results. Obviously, a cheap polisher isn't gonna hold up forever, but we don't need it to for this example. So this is the polisher we're gonna be using today. What brand is it? I don't know. I do know that it costs, I think it was $75, and this will be plenty to get the job done. So what we have here is a 2002 E46 M3, Tyler's dream car. He just bought it, and the paint's in some pretty rough shape. So what we're gonna do is paint correct this back into perfect condition and then install our 10H graphene coating on it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tape off all the necessary parts. For the sake of this video, we're probably only gonna show you doing the hood, and we're gonna do it 50-50 style. That means we'll leave one side of the hood completely untouched while we fully paint correct the other side, so you can see how much of an impact doing all these things has. So I'm gonna take the tape, put a line straight down the middle, and then we're gonna tape off all the necessary areas. We don't want any polish getting stuck anywhere, and we don't wanna accidentally polish anything like this grate up here or the grill. All right, now that we got everything taped off, it's time to start polishing. What we're gonna wanna start with is quick cut compound. So in a 3-stage paint correction, you start with cutting, then you do polishing, and then you do finishing. And at ExoForma, we have everything you need to do a full 3-stage paint correction. We have a 3-step system that includes a cutting compound, a polish, and a finishing polish, and they also have matching pads, so you don't have to guess when to use which product with which pad or anything like that. So first we're gonna start with quick cut compound in our green cutting pad. So another thing to consider when you're about to polish a vehicle is how thick the paint and clear coat are, because once the clear coat's gone, it's gone forever until you get it repainted. Tyler, I believe this was previously owned by a woman.
Yeah, it was.
So we can assume she never polished it. No offense, I'm not trying to get canceled. I'm sure there's women watching this, maybe one or two, and you probably polish your own car, but let's be honest here, on average, most women don't polish their car. So this has probably never been polished, but we do have a paint depth gauge that will tell us how much paint and clear coat there is. So we have between 6 and 7 mils of paint. So that's both the paint and the clear coat. We don't want to polish through the clear coat so that there's only the color paint left. And you could usually assume that there's between 1.5 to 2 mils of color coat, and then the rest is clear. You can find that out by checking your door jambs. That's where the vehicle is going to have the least amount of clear coat, so that'll give you an idea of how much additional clear coat there is on the rest of the vehicle. So first step is going to be quick cut compound. This is our cutting So the first step is So the first step is going to be quick cut compound, which is our cutting compound that contains diminishing abrasives. That means as the working time is extended, they're going to get smaller and smaller and less aggressive. So when starting out, you first want to spread it around the area you're going to work in. You usually want to do like a 2x2 or a 3x3 foot area. And when you're first starting out with a new pad, you're going to need a little more to kind of prime the pad. So now the first step is spreading the polish out and make sure you're covering the entire area that you're about to work in. And what you can do is put it on low. Don't forget this. If you don't put the cord over the shoulder, it can bang against the vehicle and cause scratches right after you polished it. Not good. So we're gonna put this on low and spread it around. How do we even turn this thing on? I got it. Not used to using this. Now you're going to want to be careful around these edges because it's really easy to accidentally take off too much clear coat on the peak of it. So you're going to want to angle the polisher so that you're not chipping away at the peak. We're going to move the speed up to about 3.5. You're typically going to want to move at about 1 inch per second, which is fairly slow. Once we move to finishing, it's going to be a lot faster than that. Now we're going to re-up and do the other side, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the polisher first. I do think it is important to use a dual action polisher, though it can be done with a rotary polisher. What's cool about a dual action polisher is that it's not just moving in a circle, it's also moving in other directions, especially if it's a random orbital polisher. As far as the amount of pressure you're going to want to apply, it's typically going to want to be about 10 pounds of pressure. I don't have a towel, but I'll get one and we'll clean this up and take a look at it. Swirl Sass need a coffee break.
What kind of coffee is that?
This is cinnamon dolce. Fancy stuff. So with a product like Quick Cut Compound, you're typically going to want to do, you can get away with doing 1 cross hatch pattern per area, but you're typically going to want to do 2 because it has diminishing abrasives. As you work, they'll become smaller and it makes the transition from Quick Cut Compound to precision polish much more manageable. So let's wipe this up and see what we're working with. All right, so as you can see, we got about 99% of the imperfections out of the paint. You typically don't want to get 100% of them out with a car that's this old because there's a limited amount of clear coat, and if you try to get every single scratch out of there, you will run out of clear coat. You could also do something like wet sanding for getting the deeper scratches out, but we'll save that for another video. So now we're done with quick cut, we're going to move on to precision polish. And the yellow pad. So what this is going to do, you can see that most of the imperfections are gone, but it's still a little hazy. What this is going to do is it's going to increase the clarity of the paint, which once we're completely done, you'll notice a huge difference between the left and the right side. The procedure here is pretty much the exact same as quick cut. You're going to want to do the crosshatch pattern. You're going to want to use a similar amount of liquid, similar amount of pressure, and a similar speed. So let's get started. Do our small little section right here. And we'll proceed to keep repeating this process until we finish this half of the hood. So another thing to think about is you occasionally have to clean out your polishing pad. There's a bunch of different things you could use. A lot of the polishers come with pad conditioning brushes, but you could use something as simple as our carpet and upholstery brush. Turn the speed on low and just use this to pull out any polish that could be stuck in the pad, which is going to be something that you have to do if you're polishing the whole car. The pads aren't too bad because we're just doing half the hood right now, but typically you're going to want to use quick cut compound around the entire vehicle before you switch to precision polish on the entire vehicle. So I'm sure you guys are pretty impressed with how much of a difference there is between the two sides right now. And just to let you know, that's not only because I'm the swirl assassin. Anyone can do this, you just gotta follow these steps. So it can be super helpful to have round lights like these that are specifically for finding swirls in the paint. You'll notice that after you do quick cut compound, that's a majority of the work. That's where you're gonna see the biggest difference. But you can sometimes see when you're using one of these lights, if you look at the reflection, you can see little hazing around the light versus once you're done with mirror finish, which is the last product, the reflection will be crystal clear and there won't be any haziness. So we're going to change the pad to the red pad and move to mirror finish. So watch. Gonna launch this across the room.
Does that thing have enough pad?
All right. Oh, fuck, I'm just getting it all over my face. It didn't work. Is there polish on my face? I can feel it hitting.
Yeah, there's.
So another thing you're gonna wanna do after you clean your face off is clean off the polish that got back on the vehicle. All right, so we're gonna do the mirror finish. And what we're gonna change this time is we're gonna have our arm speed be quicker. You could also do a lower speed on the polisher. Using the same speed's fine, around 3.5, but you could go down to like 2. And we're gonna move our arms way quicker. Fuck, why did I talk like that sometimes?
Way quick.
Way quicker. So, polish everywhere. Yeah, so you're gonna move way quicker. Before we were doing about an inch per second, and with this you're gonna wanna go 7.25 inches per second. No, I have no idea, but we're definitely gonna move a little quicker, probably 3 times as quick. Same procedure, spread it out before you get started. And using this product, you could do much bigger areas at a time because this doesn't contain diminishing abrasives. That's the reason you have to do a small area with the other products. Is the diminishing abrasives, that's hard to say. The diminishing abrasives will break down and become less useful as you extend the working time and extend the area that you're doing it in. Look at that, that's a stack of dimes right there. Now we'll finish up this last section and I'll show you guys the progress. We need to go to the bank and exchange these stacks of dimes for some $10 bills, you know? All right, we'll wipe this up and see what we got now. So now that we've done the 3-stage paint correction, we're gonna move on to the coating application. Now there's a ton of different types of coating you can use. The reason you wanna do the paint correction first is because the coating is gonna last a long time. You don't wanna do it with shitty scuffed up paint under it, because then it's gonna be stuck like that for years. So what we're gonna use is our 10H graphene coating. This is fairly new technology. A lot of people ask, how is it different from ceramic coating? In short, the answer is that the surface tension is going to be higher, so that's going to repel water better. So the beading on the vehicle is going to be much stronger than it would be with just the regular ceramic coating, which makes it smoother to the touch and just overall makes the coating last longer. So we're going to grab a bottle of that and start applying. So the next thing you're going to want to do is prep spray the vehicle. This will make sure that there's no polish left behind so that the coating can adhere directly to the surface of the paint. Tyler, what I'm going to need you to do here is cut to widescreen and make this as cinematic as possible. Yep, looks good. Now time for the coating. So the coating's fairly simple to apply. What you do is you put it on the applicator, move it around the area, the same as the polishing. You want to do a cross-hatch pattern. This will make sure that the surface is completely covered. And then you just wait for a couple minutes and you come back and you wipe it down. So with our graphene coating, the amount of time that you have before you have to wipe it off is significantly higher than, say, our regular 9H ceramic coating. So with the 9H ceramic coating, you typically only have about 2 minutes before it starts getting really sticky and hard to wipe up. With this product, you probably have more like 5 or even 7 minutes, so it's much more manageable, harder to mess up. You could do larger areas at a time before you have to wipe it down, versus a traditional 9H ceramic coating. You're only going to want to do like a small area, half a hood at most, and then come back and wipe it up. This you can do a lot more without any risk of it being difficult to wipe off or the coating starting to dry or become tacky. So some of you might have noticed something's changed between the last scene and this scene. Ignore that. Let's go to applying the coating here. You get a nice line going across the suede. Then you want to do the cross-hatch pattern. Exactly like that. And since this has a longer working time, you can go ahead and do at least half the hood, probably more once you get better at it. But as you're starting out, maybe do a smaller area at first until you get used to it. But we're gonna do the entire half of the hood now. So depending on the lighting you're in, you should be able to see a really nice rainbow effect that tells you that it's working. Once you've seen the rainbow effect for about a minute or even 30 seconds, then you can go ahead and wipe everything up. When you're doing this, make sure you're in a well-ventilated area because it does not smell good. It is very strong. Probably causes brain damage, so I don't know why Tyler just smelled it. So it's important to make sure that you wipe up absolutely every inch that you put the coating on, because if you don't, you'll end up with high spots. They look super weird, and it's gonna be a huge pain to get out. So that's the most important part of applying the coating, is making sure that after it's on the vehicle, you wipe up all of the excess. Because that's how you can ruin a coating, is by missing a high spot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit for 24 hours. We're gonna come back tomorrow and we'll show you the hydrophobic effects and how glossy it is. So we are getting ready to pull the car outside and show you the hydrophobics from the coating. And the battery dies. So I guess Tyler's pushing it. So we let the graphene coating cure for 24 hours and we just pulled it off the charger since it's a Tesla now, not a BMW. And we got it started and we're gonna show you guys the hydrophobics here. Well, that's it, guys. If you've thought about doing your own paint correction and coating installation, it's not that difficult. Follow the basic steps and you'll be fine. I know it can be scary your first time, just like a couple other things in life, but you'll make it through. And you'll realize that it's one of the greatest things in life.
Wait a minute.
So head to ExoForma.com. We've got all the tools you need. And don't forget to like and subscribe, or don't. I don't fucking care. You weren't recording any of that, were you? I'm just be super relaxed. All right.